Yes, indeedy. Welcome back to CIO Insight here on thepulsenetwork.com. I am Tyler Pybin, and at the very beginning of the show, we had our news of the week. And, well, one of the biggest things, and the reoccurring theme, is what Eric Lundquist of Ziff Davis Enterprise was talking to us about. Eric, you had mentioned this is conference season. There are so many different conferences and expos going on all over the place.
Competing conferences this week. You had this big VMWorld, which had a big announcement for this VMware product. I think it's 5.0. And Dreamforce, which is the Salesforce.com guys in San Francisco. I wasn't at them, but I believe someone from Labs, eWeek Labs, I think it was Cameron was at VMworld, but Cameron was at VMworld, and I think Jason was at Dreamforce. Am I right, Jason?
Hey, Eric. Well, Dreamforce is going on right now, and actually Cameron headed back from Vegas, and he's over at Dreamforce in San Francisco right now.
Okay.
So, and I'll probably swing over there myself as well.
That's right around the corner from the office, as I remember. So
yeah, that's one of the perks of being in San Francisco. You get walking distance to most of the shows.
So you talked to Cameron. I mean, what did he sort of come away from thinking about VMworld?
Well, yeah, VMworld is a ton of announcements, ton of products. I mean, I know you, Cameron. Eric. Cameron's got in his office this practically a full wall of Post-its, just laying out all the different VMware products. It's crazy, and they're all named something. So they revved a bunch of stuff for right around the show time. The biggest one you mentioned is vSphere 5. That's their flagship, their big money maker product. That's the the virtual infrastructure that's powering so many virtualized workloads out there. And we got a review of that up on eweek.com. Cameron got some early access to the code, and we use vSphere a lot in our lab to do testing. And so we've been just diving right into it and working with it. That's a big one. They've also got some announcements around their platform as a service. They've got announcements around some new consumer or kind of end user focused stuff around app delivery too. So it's been a big batch of stuff out of VMware.
You know, I think Paul Moritz, who used to work at Microsoft and now is the president, I guess, president of VMware, talking about, well, the hardware is not that important anymore. The operating system's not that important anymore. Now it's all about the virtualized environments and the new applications that are capable to create out of those environments. I mean, do you sort of agree with that, Jason?
Yeah, well, I definitely agree that the virtualization has kind of taken a central role. I mean, I guess what it is it's kind of getting down to some basic points where, look, we spent a lot of time thinking about processors, about servers, about the kind of the components, and about hypervisors that go into it. But the bottom line is your apps, your users. What are you trying to get done? What are you trying to get out to your people? And one of the central benefits of virtualization is it allows you to kind of amp up your agility and say, all right, let's stick all this hardware into a pool, all the storage and everything, and let's just focus on rolling out applications, getting our users what they need, and that's kind of the big, that's the big promise of virtualization. And we find that it's delivering. I mean, like I mentioned, we use it extensively in the lab, and it's a big help for us. Agility is important for us as we're kind of testing new things and then moving them out and getting those things in. So I'll tell you, one of the things that they announced that seems really cool to me is this App Blast, which it is a kind of something they're working on as an extension of their thin app application virtualization offering, where you kind of are applying some of these same virtualization principles to your applications, where you just kind of you visit somewhere and you pull down the app from a server. And this App Blast is actually delivering the applications through an HTML5 interface, so things like, I think this screenshot we have here, it shows a picture up at the top. I think that's Photoshop, and it's on an iPad. Now, I haven't actually got my hands on this to see how well it works, but translating over you're talking about new apps, but a big part of it is hey, how do we get our old apps into kind of these new places where we want to get them? And I mean, that looks really promising.
Yeah, now on Salesforce.com, Mark Benioff, I have three questions on this, Jason. When you have these vendor-only events, is it too much chest pounding? Do you find it, too much hype and not enough substance sometimes? On Salesforce.com, they're talking about, the era of social networking in the enterprise. Well, but that's what they're selling. And also, they're going to have Metallica. Is that your favorite band, Jason?
Well, I just saw, I think we're yesterday maybe was the 20th anniversary of their Black album, which, I remember when that album came out, everyone was saying that was their Jump the Shark sellout album. It sold really well, but I guess, if they were selling out 20 years ago, I don't know what headlining Dreamforce means for them. But hey, a lot of people are charged up about that. That's cool. I mean, talking about, is it, how much hype or how much substance? There's a lot of kind of breathless enthusiasm, coming out of Salesforce themselves about all this stuff. And I think the basic ideas here about saying, listen to your customers, listen to your coworkers and your partners, let's get software that can hook everybody up together and make some more money. I mean, that's a sound, basic principle. But I was watching the stream this morning, and our former colleague, Peter Coffey, who's at Salesforce now, he was on the mic, and he was pretty enthusiastic himself.
So this talk about social networking coming into the enterprise, the sort of, Facebook experience coming in. And we've talked, we've actually used some of it internally. You've looked at it in labs. What is it? Is this the era of that social networking in the enterprise? And if it isn't, what's really needed to make that happen, do you think?
I think that right now we're working through what's needed to make it happen. Like I said, the basic idea of, hey, let's get connected, let's get information flowing back and forth more effectively, breaking open silos of information and kind of making more of it. I mean, those are all sound ideas. And I think what's happened for so long is that has all just been routed into email. And it can work. You get to where it's not scaling, where you have too much coming in and you just can't pay attention to it. So, but I think that things like Twitter, things like Chatter, some of the things that Salesforce is working on, I think they're, they haven't solved the problem, right? But what's cool about these things is that the applications are moving fast enough, and there's enough extensibility in it that it's giving us all the opportunity to figure out, how to answer these questions and how to get it right, as we go along. So, that's the big positive of it, and the fact that there's kind of the consumer angle to it with Twitter and Google Plus and whatnot. I think that is going to be something that's going to, give it more momentum and open it up to more people to kind of figure out what's the next thing. But I mean, it's definitely not a solved issue at this point. But I think that there's definitely action, and that's good.
And you saw Dell, talk about at VMWorld, talking about the cloud infrastructure they're going to sell, and HP was talking about it with a Salesforce. Are people really that aware, even in IT, are concerned about who is actually providing the infrastructure around these cloud environments? Is it a Dell-based environment or a HP-based environment, or is a feeling, well, maybe Amazon is the way to go because they've been doing it longer?
Yeah, well, I think it is it depends on who you're talking about, right? So the people who are building, they definitely want to know where it's coming from, because they're the ones who are going to have to, fix it. They're going to be getting the pager call. I don't know if people still carry pagers or not, but the metaphorical pager call at 3 a.m. So it definitely matters, and I think this is why we're seeing HP is making a lot of noise about being a cloud solutions provider, and Dell is doing the same thing, because a big asset that those companies have is their brand, and they have relationships right now with IT people. So when it might be there might be several levels of execs who are kind of talking about it in kind of a fluffy, indeterminate, maybe it's Amazon, maybe I don't know way. But when it gets down to the point where you're with the guys who actually have to implement this stuff, then I think that's where they want to be able to call on their representatives who they know or feel comfortable. And so it's going to be a mixture of those players. But I mean, thinking about how real is this or the momentum behind it. I mean, you only have to look at the breadth of those players to see that. I mean, this is something that we're going to be dealing with for some time.
Yeah, and at the start of VMworld, Microsoft put out a little funny commercial. That's they're trying to jab a VMware, although EMC is also their partner. And we haven't talked much about Microsoft in the last couple of minutes here, Jason. Where does Microsoft really play in your mind right now in this whole virtualization and virtualization management space?
Well, Microsoft has a lot of big advantages. I just mentioned the importance of the relationships, right? Of the IT people out there who are implementing these things. They want to go with what they know, and Microsoft is with them. So Microsoft is positioned well, and over the past few years, they've built up a portfolio that is solid. I think that. And like when I talk to vendors who are making complementary products, they always focus on VMware first. VMware is the leader. But when I ask them about, well, who's your second or what's up next on the support roadmap, Microsoft always comes up because their customers are asking them about Hyper-V. And Microsoft's management product manages multiple hypervisors. That's actually something that was called out in that funny VMware video. So they're trying to get it together. I think that the challenge that Microsoft has is their kind of odd relationship with open source and kind of their history of wanting to own the whole stack, which they've gotten better on, but you look out at cloud, so much of it is Linux and open source based, and so they've made inroads there, but it's a little bit of a question to me still, how successful they're going to be doing things the Microsoft way that is kind of tied to a lot of monoculture. We'll see how that plays out, but I think that they have the kind of runway to try some things out and maybe have some things not go well and do some version 2, version 3s on stuff just because they've got those great relationships with IT people already.
Okay, we were playing that 70s van commercial behind you while this was going on, Jason. Tyler, I just want to say, people ask me when they see this, they go, when you get the Jason on or, Guy Courier, how many times do you go through it before you actually go live with this? And I just want to say, Jason, I always appreciate you being there because we're just throwing them at you and you're answering them. So, and Tyler, is Metallica high on your list?
It used to be, but Jason, they sold out. I'm sorry, but they did 20 years ago. All right, that's the way it works.
That's word on the street.
Jason Brooks, eWeek Labs. Jason, always a pleasure. Great stuff.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we have to take a very quick break, but Eric had mentioned Guy Curry. Guess what? He is coming up next in just a few seconds right here on CIO Insight. Don't go anywhere.
The Pulse Network. It's social TV.